What hobby does not get more expensive the more you dive into it? Collecting buckets. I have 7 buckets. The 4th one is also dark blue. That really depends on how long your bucket list is. I think I'd rather get rickrolled than read that again. Chess. Easy to learn, difficult to master. Resources to learn are freely available on the internet, and it is gaining quite a bit of popularity on streaming websites over the last few months. Edit. If someone new or any beginner want to learn chess, I would love to teach, feel free to DM. Also, if you're really interested, please head over to Urchess. Smile. Edit 2. My inbox is inundated with replies and it makes me really happy that a simple comment made so many people interested in chess. If you need any help, please include your chess.com or lichess.org ID or both, register if new, so that it will be easier to communicate. Edit 3. Going to bed. We'll reply in a few hours. Keep up the chess hype everyone, and also the cheese hype. Loads of people misreading the first word, lol. Wildcrafting. That's pretty much the entire point. Note, wildcrafting should be practiced mindfully, with sustainability in mind. Take only what you need, leave enough for the plants and animals to live well and reproduce. Abundance is there, but only if we don't harm it. Well, now I need to know more. Basically, the skill of identifying and utilizing wild plants for things like food, medicine and other utilities. The point is generally to use local plants and things you already have available as much as possible. You can get pretty far with some really good Googling, joining some groups. Instagram and Facebook both have some pretty active communities and nothing more. I picked it about 2 years ago, and I think the only thing I invested in was a pair of $10 gardening gloves. Ooh, cool. What's the neatest thing you found? At this moment, I have in my kitchen, homemade wine, several jars of jams, hawthorn, myrtle, red buds, fire cider, homemade cough syrup, homemade aloe gel, pickles, olives, capers, green almonds, mustard stems, mulberry leaves, several exotic herbal teas. I'm a total amateur, though. If you find the idea interesting, I suggest following people like Pascal Baudard, for instance, even just to get the idea of how far you can get with it. I bet you have to be super careful not to poison yourself. You do have to be cautious, of course. Researching is a large part of the whole thing. Though, many things are pretty easy and straightforward, or just involve learning new uses to something you're already familiar with. Magnet fishing. All you need is a strong magnet and some rope really, and maybe a few other things like gloves. Might even find something valuable one day if you're exceedingly lucky. Writing. It may even happen that by diving into it you could earn something. Writing, it takes a certain amount of conscious effort to keep prices down though. 1. Knowing that you don't need a fancy computer to run a word processor. You do not need a Mac when a Chromebook or lower-end PC will suffice. Nowadays, a Bluetooth keyboard for your smartphone will also work. 2. Knowing that Google Docs and OpenOffice are free, and that you don't need to shell out money for MS Word or Scrivener. 3. Knowing that you do not need to pay for illustrations unless you're ready to sell to a publisher. 4. Knowing the difference between actual publishing and vanity publishing. 5. Knowing that you need neither the best keyboard nor the best chair to write. 6. Not spending money on writing-related tchotchkes. 7. Knowing that you do not need to pay for feedback. The internet will gladly give it for free. 8. Realizing that if your story is compelling enough, you don't actually need coffee. I agree with all of these except number 7. Most free internet feedback is awful and unhelpful. Paid feedback is worth the cost. Edit, number 7, not number 8, which I initially wrote accidentally. Yeah, free feedback is for knowing if your story is good, paid is for how to make it better. That's a great way of putting it, and goes for most creative outlets, writing, art, dance, photography, etc. With that said, if you're completely fresh and still learning the ropes, there are subreddits all over this site where people with a couple of years' experience will gladly point out obvious areas of improvement. Cross-stitch embroidery, it's fairly cheap in general, but once you have a few sets in, you have a wide variety of colors to do your own. Ado, whoa. Thanks for the silver. My first. Came here to say this. You can make embroidery expensive if you want, but if you don't, it can be super cheap forever. I mean, DMC floss is what, 75 cents per skein? From DMC it's 0.77. At Michael's and Joanne in my area it's 0.56, but you can usually use a coupon to drop the price to 44-ish. Oddly enough, lace making. Depending on the style of lace you're doing, the initial cost of tools can be fairly steep, or super cheap. Some styles require a needle. Just a needle. But once you've got the equipment, you're only ever required to buy thread and maybe pins or paper. Okay, pattern books, but if you're even a little bit creative, you've got that covered. Source: used to make lace. Over the course of 15 years, I spent maybe $200. Not $200 a year, $200 spread over 15 years. And most of that was because I wanted specialty threads, like hand-spun linen, etc. Programming. You already have a computer, tablet, 3DS, etc., and if you need a dedicated device, a Raspberry Pi 4 is $100. Most tools are free. Open source tools are free forever. Internet is full of tutorials and examples. YouTube has a lot of courses in any field you like. Programming for fun has a competitive side too. Edit 1, for everyone asking about 3DS, yes. SmileyBasic Edit 2, a more capable SmileyBasic is now available on Switch 2. Edit 3, gamified coding is a great way to practice and improve programming skills. Cotton Game is a great example of that. Smithing. It's always just as expensive. And nothing beats the feeling you get when you finish your first knife and cut something with it. Learning to mirror sharpen a knife on whetstones like the ancient Japanese masters, $300. Getting your hand stitched shut after touching the blade and losing a pint of blood, priceless. When I was in college, I took a job at Arby's roast beef for about a month. After closing on what I knew was my last night there, I was cleaning the slicer, of course being very careful not to cut my fingers. I don't remember the exact sequence of events, but it ended up with me carelessly bumping the exposed blade with my elbow. A trip to the emergency ward and 3 stitches later, my Arby's career was finally done. Stick collecting. No joke. It sounds dumb at first, but once you get a few solid sticks, you'll start to love it. You should see my arsenal. Alright dude, you can't tease us like this, show us your stick collection. Plot twist, Op is actually a golden retriever. Odd username for such a lovely creature. Maybe his name is Thirstquencher, and that's what he hears the most, Thirstquencher, come, but because he is dog and can't spell he put come. Good job team, mystery solved. I love this reply. Geocaching? So easy. All you need is a few small trinkets and a geocaching resource. Playing cards. As long as those aren't Magic, the Gathering cards. Cardboard crack. Luxury cardboard. Meditation. Haha, one of the cheapest hobbies. But people manage to spend money on this too. Joining expensive courses, buying aesthetics like expensive candles, mats, etc., going on meditation retreats in high-end resorts in exotic locations. I can understand some well-scented candle or more comfortable mat. But why would anyone need some fancy wall ornaments or golden Buddha figurines? I thought closing your eyes is one of the most important parts. I do find that having low light and ambient noise helps me focus on meditation, especially since I haven't really mastered it to the point where I can do it just anywhere. It's nice to have a place set aside with nice smells, sounds, lights, and decorations that make you feel more at ease. Luckily my college has a room like that, so I don't need to make my own. Though TBH, I find meditation to be so helpful to my mental state that it might be worth it to invest in a little space for it when I have my own home. Reading. Having fun isn't hard when you got a library card. I did not expect to see an Arthur reference on Reddit today. Searches through comments to find a new hobby. Edit, thanks for the Do Nothing award. I'll continue doing nothing. Edit number 2, Platinum. You are way too kind, stranger. Thank you. I started a podcast as a hobby with 2 friends that moved to different countries in 2018, and we are still going strong. We talk about different topics every couple of weeks and it's very fun. The only expense we have is the host website, but we only pay because we have uploaded many episodes and needed more cloud space, but it's still very cheap in comparison to other hobbies. If you need to save money, could you not upload to Spotify, YouTube, or something similar that lets you do it for free? Podcasting can be done this way, but it's really hard to get any traction by uploading like that. If you join a network or podcast hosting site, they use a special type of web application that auto-uploads your podcast to every listening service. With a lot of those sites, your first ads are for other podcasts, which helps spread the word. Writing, all you need is a Word document and your brain. Unless you're like me, who prefers URL writing, and now has a dragon's hoard of journals to write in. I hoard a bunch of empty notebooks. I'm so scared to write in those pretty empty pages and mess up. I feel this. I once bought an antique-looking journal and wanted to write poems or make it a diary. Well, no. I was too afraid to mess up or write something stupid that I started writing my favorite poems from famous writers because I know that they're great and I won't regret it. Except my bad handwriting, now I started writing poems but I was too afraid again, so I just used a block. I hope someday I'll be comfortable enough to write in those beautiful notebooks.